It looks like edelkrone has listened to a lot of customer feedback and has given us a standalone remote controller for their motorized camera gear. When they announced this little thing, I immediately placed my order. It comes in at $129 USD at the time of this video and is available right now if you're interested in picking one up for your current edelkrone rig. Let's get through what this thing is compatible with at the time of this video. It works with the Jib 1, the Slide Module V2, the Slider 1 V2, Slider 1 Pro V2, Head 1, Head Plus Pro, Dolly 1, Dolly Plus, and finally the Dolly Plus Pro. It has the ability to work with the Head Plus and Head Plus Pro with the focus module connected to the setup or not, so you don't have to have it, or if you have it, you can use it. There is no support for the laser module just yet, but I suspect they'll bring support and use for it via a firmware update in the future sometime. That's one of the things that stood out to me when I was looking at this controller. Edelkrone plans to continue to improve this controller through firmware updates, and that's just added value in my opinion. They listed a mimic feature idea on the product page that would allow for directional orientation adjustments using the controller and any given system like the Head Plus or the Head Plus Pro. The demo shows the Head Plus being manipulated with a hand gesture, and it looks pretty promising if I do say so myself. It looks like edelkrone is planning to bring support for automatic target tracking, sequencer mode, record mode, and stop motion to the controller in a future firmware update. These are all things that you can have access to via the smartphone app right now if you don't have the controller, but it's a nice to have on a physical controller that we've all been asking for. The controller is built like a tank and has a substantial feel to it. Coming in at 3.5 ounces, it's made of CNC machined aluminum. That is a really nice choice considering it is something you will be handling quite a bit. Edelkrone could have easily taken the route of making this thing out of plastic and cut some cost, but they decided not to, and I appreciate that. It houses 2 AAA batteries under the magnetic cover plate. It's a cool implementation of a cover for the batteries, but I have already not seated the cover plate correctly, and a couple of times it fell off, and then I also placed it upside down, which made it really difficult to come off without using some sort of knife or something. So make sure you put the back cover plate on in its designed orientation, or you're going to have some trouble getting that thing off. And that's to say, if the back plate isn't seated correctly, you will also experience something like a loss of the back plate if you put it in your bag or have it in your pocket or something like that. So since we're talking so much about the battery, you'll get about 4 hours of continuous non-stop use from a pair of standard AAA batteries. So it might be a good idea to invest in 4 or more rechargeable batteries for to add in addition to your controller, so you can swap those things out. It's not hot swappable, so don't have any dependency on that. You take the batteries out, or one of them, the thing powers off. There's a good amount of control provided by this thing. You can precisely control the edelkrone gear that you have using the navigation pad, selection button, key post buttons, menu button, and information screen. I will say using this thing with a compatible hand-controlled equipment or hand-controlled item like that of the Jib 1 or the Head Plus make it an incredibly powerful tool for me, and it's really easy to use. This controller frees up a lot of my working ability because I use my phone to do a lot of other things when I'm shooting videos. And it's tough to manage when I need to use my edelkrone gear and control some lights or something like that. My, Elgato key lights that I have here with this talking head segment, because they are app controlled. And I use a teleprompter as well all the time when I'm making videos. And it has become quite the balancing act when I'm using edelkrone gear and using those lights or that teleprompter. I don't have to balance those things or juggle those things anymore with this controller because it makes it really easy to manage my workflow. I usually use 2 phones or tablets when making videos. This $130 controller has made my life much simpler when it comes to using edelkrone stuff. And that's just really, really nice to have. It's a lot cheaper than an iPod or something like that, and it's just much better to use and much easier to use in my opinion. All right, so here I'm gonna take an opportunity to show you how quickly you can implement the edelkrone controller using your edelkrone gear. I'm just gonna power this thing on, and I've already connected my Head Plus and my slide module to power as well, so it should be able to recognize this pretty quickly. Just gonna go down on the menu system. It's really intuitive. I'm gonna go over select what products I want to connect. It's going to head plus and the slide module. From there, I'm just going to hit the pair and connect. It's going to connect. At this point, it's going to do the focus module where it's calibrating the lens. I have a 50 millimeter on my Sony A7 III, and it's just setting the limits of infinity and macro. There it has successfully achieved that. Now I can move or set separate key poses, but before I do that, I want to go through the menu system. Here you got pan and tilt. You can control that via the controller or touch hand, so you can do the tilt as well, as you can see here. That's the slow way to do it. The good thing about the head plus and the slider plus is that you can grab it and move it. But that's the first menu system that's available to you on the edelkrone controller. If you hit the center button, you can cycle through menus. This is going to have a slide and focus. You can see in the background back here that it is actually sliding using the controller. It's really responsive and works really well. The other one is the focus. I want to highlight how awesome the focus is on this because it's much more pleasant to use on this controller than it is on the app because you can get more granular control over your focus ring. And I really, really like that. So with that said, you go to the next one. You can set your speed and acceleration. I won't really mess with that here, but you can see how easily and intuitive that is accessed. So heading on back to the main menu, I'm going to move my camera system to the first key pose. And then from there, I can set it just by holding one. It is registered. I'm going to go ahead and move it to the second key pose. And then there's the second key pose. And I would set focus and stuff here as well, but this is just for demonstration purposes. And you can just go ahead and go to the first key pose, and it gives you a little breakdown of how long it's going to take to get there. There that goes. And then the second key pose, go ahead and do that as well. And it's moving right along. Same thing with the app as well. If you hit the two buttons in conjunction together, it will loop. It'll loop those two between. As you can see, the loop is being calculated between 1 and 2 on the menu system, and that is working really well. This is my favorite part about this controller, how quickly and easily it can be used. And I'm excited to see what edelkrone can bring in future firmware updates. So since we have walked through all of those settings and things, and I've kind of given you an idea of what it is all about, I recommend this controller to you if you currently have any compatible edelkrone gear. It's super easy to use. Pairing, setting up shots with key poses and camera movements is really, really easy to do. This is something I think all edelkrone users should have, and it's something they have been asking for a very long time, and edelkrone has delivered. They gave us what we were asking for, and it's really, really nice to have. I can't wait to see what edelkrone comes up with in the future with firmware updates with this little controller and see how much more creative they can make it for me. It would be cool if edelkrone made the controller hand controlled, where you could use the laser module in conjunction with tracking. That would be really useful for me personally, as I could easily set up a macro shot or something of that nature using the laser module without having to touch the camera system on the edelkrone. That would avoid bouncing and all types of stuff if I could just point it, however, in orientation using the laser module, access that thing, target it, focus it, and then set up the shot and just go without ever placing my hands on the jib or the head plus or the slider plus or anything like that. That would make it really, really nice to have. Like I've said before, pricing and availability is linked in the description of this video. If you want to support this channel and me, it helps me out quite a bit if you shop through those affiliate links, because the revenue realized through those purchases that you make without costing you anything in addition comes to me and helps support continued content creation here on this channel. I don't have anything to disclose to you. Edelkrone didn't send this out to me. I bought this thing with my own money. I'm actually thinking of buying another one so I can control my slider one setup and my jib one setup simultaneously and have, kind of a cohesive ecosystem of moving shots to make my A-roll more dynamic, or, shooting B-roll in any way, shape, or form. It would just be really nice to control two different systems with two fairly priced controllers, if I do say so myself. And I think I'm probably going to buy another one. Well, that about does it for me in this one. If you enjoyed this review, please feel free to give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, you know what to do. Thank you for taking the time to watch. I'm Tomas, and I will catch you in the next one.